The Boxing Casuals.
Hello guys, welcome back to The Boxing Casuals, the one-stop shop for all things boxing. My name is Sam, I'm joined as ever by Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, not too bad, Sam. It's been a hot minute, but thought we'd come back for the big one, the big controversy, the big belly button gate.
Belly button gate indeed. That was the best subreddit I've ever found. And yeah, as Chris says, we've been out for a while, but what more of a topic could bring us back? It's mental.
Well, I mean, around the controversy, what we had was quite it was a decent heavyweight clash. Obviously, fairly one-sided in the end. Alexander Usyk, the Ukrainian, against Britain's Daniel Dubois. Heavyweight clash for all the marbles, minus the WBC. And that took place over in Poland. Before this all played out, what was your prediction on this fight? Let's just get it's been a hot minute, so we hadn't had a chance to share our predictions, so let's just air them out now.
Yeah, I didn't expect. Well, yeah, we won't talk about the result, but yeah, I thought it would be points Usyk. I thought he would just be too quick, which I think he did. But again, we'll focus just on my prediction. I just thought he'd just play with Dubois, keep him away, and win on points. I didn't think he would sort of look for a knockout. What about you?
Well, we have seen that quit in Dubois before when he's being overwhelmed. We saw it in the Joyce fight. He took a knee and didn't get back up. In the Kevin Lerena fight, where he went down 3 times, he was feeling sorry for himself up until he wasn't.
So and he got saved by the bell in that fight, if I remember correctly, as well. It was a good 10 seconds.
Some refs, outside of a home promotion would have stopped that fight. So we have seen that from Dubois. He comes across, he's a young guy, 25, isn't he? He comes across as quite I don't know. He's not made of steel, is he? He's not a Tyson Fury resolve. Even Anthony Joshua. Some people say Anthony Joshua hasn't got a chin, but what you can't say about Anthony Joshua is he's got some heart. He's got some heart on him.
100%. So, I think Dubois is just on that before we sort of move on. Like Dubois. Yeah, I feel like it's more about self-preservation at some points, especially with the Joyce fight, etc. Like, we have seen people with similar injuries, not saying for a second they did the wrong thing, because that was a broken fractured orbital or whatever it was bad, but he does have that tendency to self-preserve, save himself for another day. And at that top level, I just don't think like you said, your AJs, your Wilder's a prime example. You just wouldn't get that at that top level.
Yeah. But my prediction for the fight was the same as you, points Usyk, or he's a slow starter. He picks up near the end, and you can see him overwhelming Dubois with that quit he's gotten him. So points, I'd say points is probably more where I was leaning.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the fight then. So first couple of rounds, you could kind of see the pattern of the fight, couldn't you? There wasn't too much in the way of a game plan from Dubois. It was more of a hit and hope, and he couldn't really stick his jab out there. He wasn't really putting a lot of pressure on him. He wasn't really throwing his combinations together.
He was trying to set himself up for something, but he just couldn't read that rhythm, the irky jerky style. Yeah. He couldn't sort of plant himself. Again, this is exactly what we expected from Usyk. I don't think hindsight's a beautiful thing, and they're saying that their plan was to catch him to the body on a counter, but like I would have wanted him on him straight away, dog styling him, dog fighting. That's the word I was looking for, not doggy styling.
That would have been an interesting watch, especially in the heart of Poland. But no, I guess we were kind of expecting a dog fight and Dubois to put on him, but Dubois isn't a dog, is he? He's a pup at this stage in his career, and he's not going to he's not going to Derek Chisora him. No, he's not gonna box with him for the first few rounds like AJ did. He just hasn't got that in his locker.
No.
So,
well, I think, as you say, we'll have to just move straight on to belly button gate, as we're calling it,
for the viewers. So up until round 4, the fight had been fairly one-sided. Usyk probably peppering Dubois with his jab, in and out movement, as you'd expect from Usyk. and round 5 approached. Again, it was another clear, comfortable round for Usyk, pretty much. It was probably the only round which could be arguable because Dubois was getting some good shots in, and an uppercut midway through the round to just below or just on Usyk's belly, sort of put Usyk down. It was counted as a low blow, and he was given 5 minutes to recover. And he took every minute of those, every second of those 5 minutes, indeed, because he was down for some time. At some point, you could see his hand shaking, and he looked like he was in some pain. But
yeah,
what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I was torn. I mean, if you want my honest reaction at the time, I was chatting to you. You know, I'd had a couple of beers. I was supporting the British fighter. Obviously, I love Usyk, and I've been a bit of a fanboy of him, as you well know.
Yeah, me too.
At
Me too.
the AJ fight we went to together, I was screaming at the top of my voice, and the new. That wasn't my wisest moment, but I was adamant at the time that it was a legit punch. You know, I saw it go in, and you kind of expect the home fighter always to get the nod, and that's kind of what I thought had happened there. You expect the world champ to have got the nod. At the time, yeah, I was adamant, and I was texting you. We were both adamant. I feel like we were both kind of pretty 100%.
Well, my immediate reaction when I first saw it was, and I saw him start counting the low, I thought, bloody, because I saw the punch land. Usyk went down like a ton of bricks. I thought, bloody hell, it's got him here. And then the ref scored a low blow, and my immediate reaction was that low? Didn't look like. I was messaging you thinking that was not a low blow. Obviously, we must be a couple of casuals, hence the casual boxing, because it turns out anything below the navel being the belly button, is a low blow.
I've actually come prepared for this, believe it or not. I've done a bit of background delving. Thank you to my father. He shared this diagram of what the navel actually means. I haven't been able to reference it properly. I haven't been able to find where he got it. I don't know. My dad might have drawn it. Who knows? I don't think he did. If he did, Dad, fair play. So I've got
that's
this.
Some 1970s
Yeah, I thought that it was proper. Like, I'm half expecting him to hold his fists up like this and start doing a bit of that. But so, you know, this does help with defining what the navel is. From what I can see, it's from the belly button the whole way around. And then if we compare it to the other side of the screen here.
Yeah. Does it low? No. At this point, it doesn't look like any of the glove really hit any part of Usyk's body that wasn't covered by short. But the thing is, you've seen him before, but I guess it's in fights where the ref has specified at the start of the fight what's low and what's not, you know?
Well, that's it. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
And apparently, you know, Camp Frank and all that, and Brick Top, as we now have to call him because everyone does.
Oh,
you know,
Fisheye Frank.
Fisheye, yeah. They've effectively been saying that. I mean, I have seen the video where Don Charles was sort of questioning this before with the referee, and again, it's one of those like. I'm going to probably have a hot take here and say if Usyk had done the same to Dubois, he'd have probably got the nod for that.
Probably, yeah.
I think that's just the home crowd always tends to get the decision in boxing. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a bit of home cooking, but not necessarily home cooking because it is low. There's been, Tony Bellew put something out that said, you know, it was quite clear. It said the rule states this and that anything below the navel is a low blow. And I've seen many accounts that sort of concur to that. I haven't actually looked at the rules myself. Probably should have done for this podcast, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Warren read out some rules from the I think it was the BBOC or something, and I looked them up. Rule 30 it was, which was like a sub rule. Effectively, sort of, it was more to do with where the protector should be worn, and he was using that to sort of justify, you know, his point. On TalkSport, they haven't so far appealed. They are planning to, so we'll sort of see what develops there. But, you know, the outcry, there are all these people that have, you know, for example, Carl Frampton was at the point. Live, he was adamant that this was a legal shot.
Yeah. But again, he was seeing what we were seeing, to be honest, and that was.
This is what I mean. Your emotions get caught up in it. You're being quite. Again, they use the word. Simon Jordan always uses the word subjective. It's a very subjective sport sometimes. Ultimately, for me, just to sort of wrap it up, like it's borderline, but I would always look to the ref there, and I've just got to have my faith in the ref. So
Yeah.
I would say it is low.
At the end of the day, up until that point, it was one-sided, and beyond that point, it was a one-sided fight. If we're going to judge it all on whether or not that was a low blow or not, you know, that if it doesn't really do the fight any justice, because Usyk was fairly dominant from round 1 to round. When it starts at 10?
I think it was at 8, wasn't it?
Was it 8? Yeah, it was only ever going one way. And I've seen some reaction online that many people saying, "Oh, if Fury hit, Usyk like that, he'd go down. He's staying down." But if that was a low blow, and Fury's hitting Usyk like that, he's also going to get counted as a low blow. So I can't really see how we're going to use that as any measuring stick. Usyk was uncharacteristically trying to get Dubois out of there. I think uncharacteristically so, because he could see that Dubois was melting quickly, was fading fast.
What bothered me, but obviously Usyk had it was ruled as the low blow. He had the 5 minutes, and no problem with that. My issue is Daniel had this time, and he could have just stuck it straight on in there. And this is what we're going back to about he's got the dog in him. Yeah. Like I can't say I would. You would want a hypothetical heavyweight fighter to just immediately, you've seen a weakness there, and pounce on that weakness, just go for it again.
But
and
Daniel,
he didn't.
Again, in interviews, in his general demeanour, his mannerisms, he comes across as quite a naive, sort of guided. Everything he does is guided. He doesn't come across as somebody who's got too much in the way of, his own. He doesn't.
No, I know what you mean.
If you were to go down to the pub with him, it'd probably be the worst time he'd ever had down the pub with anybody.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah.
I don't want to be mean to him, but that's.
No, I know what you mean, and I think with the McGuigan splitting with him as well when we went over, I think that was someone that was somewhat guarding him. Obviously, after the Joyce loss, I think that was a fair sort of stepping stone fight for him, and for me, that would have been okay, maybe he's definitely not a world level. It's good he got the shot, but he's definitely not a world level. He was in there. He was in there to potentially get a puncher's chance, put a dent in Usyk, and then Frank would get fish eyes, whatever, would get the easy Fury unification fight. That would be the blueprint of what he was hoping for there, in my opinion.
Yeah. Right, let's skip over that. As we've been talking about the controversy for quite some time. Who do you reckon's next for Usyk then? Potential challenges, we've got Hrgovic. I think he's the IBF mandatory at this point. And obviously Fury, that's the big one. That's the one that everyone wants. And anybody else? I mean, who else would you want to see Usyk in there with next?
I wouldn't really. I don't think Usyk necessarily wants to be at his age. I think he's quite transparent about wanting to unify. It's annoying that Hrgovic is now getting himself in the mix, but equally, that's not his fault. It's not Usyk's fault. If it's anyone's fault, it would be, I can't necessarily say it's Tyson Fury's, but for holding things up for that long, mandatory start coming along. Fury is in a situation with the WB. Is it WBC? He is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's in a situation where he doesn't have to get these mandatories, whereas Usyk is being called out for these mandatories.
Because the We Be Corrupt Boxing Federation, they seem to be giving Fury all the time he needs, and not calling mandatories, and the Fury's out there making Netflix series and having a good time whilst
fighting Ngannou. Yeah,
fighting Ngannou for some reason. Usyk's out here having mandatories called every couple of seconds. But if Hrgovic is the next one, how do you see that one going? We saw Hrgovic versus Dempsey McKean on the Joshua undercard against Robert Helenius, and I kind of got to say I wasn't too impressed. He looked like a big, slow, cumbersome robot who I think Usyk should handle fairly comfortably, to be honest, with his movement.
I think I don't really know. I mean, I said all this sort of to you at the time, but he definitely, in my opinion anyway, lost to Zhang. In that fight. He's got somewhat of a name, and that sort of sailed him through these fights, and that's got him to where he is. But for me, his skills aren't delivering, the hype. If you were just putting him in as a contender, then fair, but they're making out like he's some sort of world beater. I'm not seeing that.
No, I'm not seeing that either. I don't think I've ever seen a performance from Hrgovic where I've been like, whoa, bloody hell, look at those skills, look at his ability. I mean, I've seen him take out some fairly low-level guys, and even then, it was kind of, it wasn't like, wow, he's put something special together there and taking this guy out. The Zhang performance was underwhelming. The Dempsey McKean performance was fairly underwhelming. I mean, fair play got the stoppage in the McKean fight, but I don't see anything there that's going to trouble Usyk. So I think the big one, the Fury fight. I think that's what we all want to see. That's the unknown.
That is the unknown.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, well, look, I've said this to you before as well. It's like with Fury AJ. Like, I just don't want to give it any space. I know it's not necessarily Usyk's fault, but I just don't want to give it any traction until we know what's going on, because it's just, it's exactly what. It's just irritating. It's frustrating for the fans because we all know what's going on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we would like that fight, but I would imagine what will happen is you'll get Hrgovic, and then Fury does his Ngannou thing, takes into next year. Who knows?
Who knows?
The Boxing Casuals.